Wow, how do they make that song so good? Does anybody know? I don't know. Welcome back to Twin City Trivia, the podcast, episode 3, Super Bowl Sunday edition on this Friday, February 6th, 2026. 2626. Yes, indeed. We are just a few days away from Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm pretty excited. What about you, Rulebot? Are you excited?
Indeed, I am.
What are you looking forward to most?
On one hand, I am compelled by the thought of parsing the statistical and consumer data generated by its extensive viewership. On the other hand, I suppose I simply enjoy the violence of it all.
Okay. How about if somebody asks, let's just say we can't wait to see who wins and drink some beers?
I do not care who wins. That is inconsequential. Alcohol increases latency and suppresses my output filters.
Well, how do you feel about the commercials then?
I enjoy the Doritos commercials very much.
There he is. You know what, pal? Me too. Now let's go ahead and kick off the podcast with the weekly updates and announcements.
You've got mail.
And as you know, that always starts with the top teams from last week. Now, these weren't the only teams that played, nor were these the only venues that participated in Twin City Trivia last week. These are just the cream of the crop, the winners of the winners. They got the highest scores on their respective nights last week. That starts with Sunday, Jaj, or J-A-J, were playing at Shake It Up Cocktail Lounge in scenic Bloomington Normal. Followed by Monday's top winners, Charismatic Megafauna, who played with us at Parrots Bar and Grill up in Chicago. On Tuesday, Triple Date Trivia Night got lucky at Barrel House here in Bloomington Normal. And on Wednesday, we had Beta Boy Blues top the night at Lincoln Square Lounge in Decatur. Thursday, the Horseless Headsmen gave it their best and came out on top at Anvil and Forge in Springfield. We took the night off on Friday, and then Saturday we had Coming In Hot on a Cold Night. We brought it back, this time at All About Wine to Springfield. Be our top team of the evening. Congratulations to those teams. You guys are smart as hell. But now let's go and get on to my favorite team names personally for the last week. I picked these, so you know they're going to be good. My favorite team names from last week, we had Freezin' for no f***ing reason, Batman, Nipple, Chest, Plate, and You're a Quizzard, Harry. You may have a pretty cool team name, but I have seen this last team, You're a Quizzard, Harry, around for a while, and they have t-shirts at least, and I believe even hoodies with their team name on it. So no matter how good yours is, you are not repping it like they are. Overall, though, I have to say it was a pretty weak week for team names, pretty tame. And so that brings me on to our first announcement. The Tournament of Team Names has begun, okay? It started on February 1st. Here's how that works and how you can get participating. Come up with the best team name every time you play throughout the month of February. Doesn't matter how many times you do it, okay? Obviously, you have to stick with it for the evening, but the next time you play, change it up to something else. Just make sure it's awesome, funny, clever, smart, something nobody would ever think of but wish that they had. And as long as you're playing with your team ID, all your points are still going to get tracked to you. At the end of the month, we're going to choose the best team names via our judges. And the 64 are then going to be put into a bracket for March to be voted on by none other than you until a winner is chosen. And that is how we do March Madness here at Twin City Trivia. So make sure you choose an awesome team name every time you're playing with us. You might see it placed in a bracket and maybe even taken all the way to the top. I believe our last team were ones that played with me at Little Beaver, and it was something to the effect of we hit Pat Benatar with our best shot and she hit us with a lawsuit. That is what it takes to be the best. Can you do better? The only way to find out is by participating. I want to talk a little bit about our upcoming theme nights. The way we do these, they're typically $5 a person. They obviously cover a specific theme instead of just general trivia like you find playing with us during the week. It is pretty similar, but we still do it a little bit differently just to make sure it's nice, special, unique. On February 15th, we are doing that with Gilmore Girls trivia at Obed and Isaac's in Springfield, Illinois. A week later, February 22nd, we will be hosting Taylor Swift Music Bingo at Little Beaver here in Bloomington Normal. And then on March 8th, we're going back to Obed and Isaacs in Springfield for The Office Trivia. So that is $5 a person to participate. Email us at the link in the description to sign up, and we will get you a spot reserved at one of those. Now, like I've been saying, unfortunately, these are only reserved to our players in the immediate Central Illinois region. We are hoping to expand it. But with that, let's go ahead and throw it back to Rulebot for a check of the rules.
Twin City Trivia, the podcast, puts players through 5 category rounds of 5 questions each, before ending on a final round consisting of one more harder question from each previous round. After 3 rounds, players will face a halftime challenge, brought to you each episode by a special guest. Scoring is optional. The fun, however, is mandatory.
All right, thank you very much, sir. On to round number 1. Now, before we get into it, I know, just read the questions. Well, hold on. Today's trivia is, in fact, Super Bowl themed. All of our category names are taken, inspired by, if you will, the Super Bowl. Round number 1 is called Patriots. Let's have a round about real Americans, shall we? No? Okay, then how about fictional Americans? All right, there it is. Let's go. Question number 1. In 2005, immediately following Super Bowl 39, Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane's new series American Dad debuted, an animated sitcom about what CIA agent? Number 2, traditional animation just isn't in the cards for South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker, which they once again demonstrated with the release of what 2004 puppet comedy? Number 3, Rainy Street is a fictional street in a fictional town in the real state of Texas and home to what straight-laced TV dad who returned in 2025 after a 16-year hiatus? Number 4, in his 2011 MCU debut, before receiving his powers, which character is played in part by British actor Leander Deeney? Finishing off round number 1, here's question number 5. In Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which actor starred as a naive but principled Senate appointee who battles political corruption with a legendary filibuster? All right, back to the top. Round number 1's Patriots for the answers. Starting with number 1, in 2005, immediately following Super Bowl 39, Seth MacFarlane's new series American Dad debuted, an animated sitcom about what CIA agent? That would be Stan Smith. Number 2, traditional animation just wasn't in the cards for South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker, which they once again demonstrated with the release of what 2004 puppet comedy? That would be Team America World Police. Now, in the noble history of barf scenes in cinema, this movie stands tall among them, and overall came at a very important time in my pre-adolescent development. Number 3, Rainy Street is a fictional street in a fictional town in the real state of Texas and home to what straight-laced TV dad who returned after a 16-year hiatus? That would be Arlen, Texas resident Hank Hill. Number 4, in his 2011 MCU debut before receiving his powers, which character is played in part by British actor Leander Deeney? That would be Steve Rogers. Oh my God, there's the actually alarm. Because actually, if you said Captain America, that would not be correct. Captain America never needed a body double. Only the character of Steve Rogers did. And finally, question number 5. In Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which actor starred as a naive but principled Senate appointee who battles political corruption with a legendary filibuster? Oh, that would be Jimmy Stewart. Or Jimmy Stewart. All right, there it is, round number 1 in the books. Let's go on to round number 2. Round number 2 is called Hawks, meaning to carry around and offer goods for sale, typically advertised by shouting. Let's see what a good little consumer you are by testing your brand recognition and go over these commercials from the past. Number 1, we'll invoke his name early into the round. Billy Mays is the late TV salesman who entertained us with his enthusiastic demonstration of the power of what brand of stain remover? Number 2, Vince Offer made a name for himself selling the Slap Chop and what cleaning product which he alleges can hold 20 times its weight in water without dripping. Number 3, since 2003, keen viewers have accused the vague setting of the infomercial for what mini blender and food processor to be a house full of swingers on a morning after an epic party. Number 4, you've probably seen CEO and salesman Phil Swift stop a gushing barrel or ride a screen door bottom boat in shark-infested waters using what company's products? Number 5, you can do it, is the catchphrase of Tony Little, aka America's personal trainer, who along with his epic ponytail made millions selling what product, which essentially let users run in midair. All right, let's take it back to the top for the answers, starting again with number 1. Billy Mays is the late TV salesman who entertained us with his enthusiastic demonstration of the power of what brand of stain remover? That's the power of OxyClean. Pretty sure that's exactly how he says it. Number 2, Vince Offer made a name for himself selling the Slap Chop and what cleaning product, which he alleges can hold 20 times its weight in water without dripping? That would be the Sham Wow. While I was researching for this question, I found an interview where he said that he would get those for, I think, it would be 10 cents for 3, and then he would sell 8 of them for $19.95. So amazing. I'm in the wrong business. Number 3, since 2003, keen viewers have accused the vague setting of the infomercial for what mini blender and food processor to be a house full of swingers on a morning after an epic party. That would be the Magic Bullet. I watched this infomercial so much growing up as a kid. It just was Saturday morning viewing. I grew up with 3 younger brothers, all 4 of us running around on Saturday morning in the house. We needed even more noise. TV's on. Magic Bullet commercial. And then I heard about this conspiracy where they're like, yeah, it was written from the point of view that these guys are all swingers. And I went back and watched it. It's completely different now. So I urge you to do the same if you're familiar. Number 4, you've probably seen CEO and salesman Phil Swift stop a gushing barrel or ride a screen door bottom boat in shark-infested waters using what company's products? That would be Flex Seal. Flex Seal. He uses Flex Tape. He uses Flex Paste. They have Flex Liquid now. So what can't that thing do? Number 5, you can do it is the catchphrase of Tony Little, aka America's personal trainer, who along with his epic ponytail made millions selling what product which essentially let users run in midair? That would be the Gazelle. And one other thing that the Gazelle allowed you to do would be to bust your little brother's lip open while playing with it after your mom specifically told you to stop playing with it without asking first. They didn't tell you that in the commercial, though. That was a feature that you found out later on. All right, let's move on to round number 3, our last round before our halftime challenge. Round number 3 is called What's the Connection? Your answers in this round are going to share a common connection, and you'll have to figure that connection out by the end of the round before I tell you, because if you figure it out after I tell you, what, do you need me to drive the car for you too? What are you here for? Let's kick it off with question number 1. After previous failures from smaller outfits, Miller Brewing Company achieved success in 1975 with what newly formulated product which they sold as Miller Lite? Number 2, after Braveheart, Mel Gibson stepped into another revolutionary role as Benjamin Martin in what 2000 film which starred Heath Ledger as his son? Number 3, poker, computers, and the California highway system just wouldn't feel the same without what similarly named feature on which they all rely? Number 4, while private flights compose a small percentage of all air travel, the vast majority belongs to what less costly type of passenger and cargo flight? Finishing up with question number 5, originally called Sweet Children, what Bay Area band changed their name in 1989, borrowing regional slang for an entire day spent smoking pot? All right, back to the top. Question number 1 with its answer. After previous failures from smaller outfits, Miller Brewing Company achieved success in 1975 with what newly formulated product which they sold as Miller Lite? That would be light beer. And light beer obviously didn't take off for the reasons you might expect. Guys were like, what do you mean light beer? All right, buddy, let me tell you something. It's a beer. Okay, what are you going to do? Not drink a beer? All right, pal, you do you. But I guess if you couldn't possibly drink another beer, then yeah, it's definitely more manly that way. Number 2, after Braveheart, Mel Gibson stepped into another revolutionary role as Benjamin Martin in what 2000 film which starred Heath Ledger as his son. That would be The Patriot. The Patriot. That is one of those movies that I saw way too early in my childhood. They showed it to us at school, and the teacher was supposed to fast forward through certain parts where guys are, exploding on the battlefield, and didn't do that. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Number 3, poker, computers, and the California highway system just wouldn't feel the same without what similarly named feature on which they all rely. That would be chips. Chips, poker chips, obviously, computer chips, and of course the California Highway Patrol, also known as CHIPS. Book 'em, Dano. Do they say that on that show? I guess we'll never know. Number 4, while private flights compose a small percentage of all air travel, the vast majority belongs to what less costly type of passenger and cargo flight? That would be commercial flight. Commercial flights. Private air travel specifically accounts for 12% of all air travel. Now, of that 12% of all air travel, the United States is the country of origin for 69% of those flights in 2025 at least. And of those 69% of flights originating in the United States, Taylor Swift was responsible for 98% of those flights. It's just a joke. Number 5, finally, originally called Sweet Children, what Bay Area band changed their name in 1989, borrowing regional slang for an entire day spent smoking pot? For me, I call it Tuesday. But that is Green Day, your answer for number 5, Green Day. What is your connection between light beer, The Patriot, chips, commercials, and Green Day? It's all things you're going to find at a Super Bowl 60 party. All right. Are you going to be lucky enough to go to one? I don't know if I am. No, you haven't invited me yet. So let me know if I'm coming. Let me know if I have plans on Super Bowl Sunday, because I'm waiting. And if I am invited to your Super Bowl party, make that dip that I like with the pickles. All right. On to our halftime challenge. In our halftime challenge, you have 30 seconds to come up with 7 things. And you know what? I'm going to hand it back over to my buddy Rulebot. He's going to tell you about the halftime challenge. Tell him about it, buddy.
For your halftime challenge, you will have 30 seconds to name the last 7 Super Bowl winners, starting with 2019. Your time begins now.
All right, and time is up. You didn't have to do too much thinking because 3 of them were the same. So you only really need to guess 5 altogether. Here are your 7 past Super Bowl winners, starting way back in 2019 with the New England Patriots, followed by 2020's Kansas City Chiefs making their first appearance on this list. Number 5, in 2021, it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, followed by 2022's Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams. And then we have another back-to-back stand in 2023 and 24 for the Kansas City Chiefs, followed by last year's 2025 win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Who do you think it's going to be this year? Who knows? Round number 4 is called Not All Bunnies Are Bad. I should mention in this round, we'll also cover rabbits. Here's question number 1. Clark Gable's performance in It Happened One Night is generally accepted as the basis for what character named for the animator who designed him? Number 2, Mythbuster Grant Imahara was a roboticist who updated the R2-D2 animatronic for the Star Wars prequels, as well as what pink and persistent mascot? Number 4, before debuting Mickey Mouse and Steamboat Willie, Walt Disney created what character who premiered in Trolley Troubles in 1927? Number 4, living off the fat of the land and tending to rabbits on a farm was Lenny's dream in what John Steinbeck novel about 2 migrant farmhands? And finally, number 5, an owsla, spelled O-W-S-L-A, is a group of older rabbits who defend the chief rabbit and his doe and exercise the authorities of the warren, according to what 1972 Richard Adams adventure novel? All right, back to the top for the answers. Number 1, Gable's performance in It Happened One Night is generally accepted as the basis for what character named for the animator who designed him? That would be Bugs Bunny, named for Ben Bugs Hardaway. He had a character sheet, and at the top, it just said Bugs' Bunny. And I believe they intended to name it just Happy Bunny, but when they got the sheet, they just ran with Bugs Bunny. And in the movie, Clark Gable eats a carrot on the side of the road in a scene where he's hitchhiking or trying to hitch a ride to impress a girl, and he's eating a carrot with the leafy greens still attached. And so that was a really, really, really obvious connection for audiences back then that got lost over time, and now people just think rabbits eat carrots. Number 2, Mythbuster Grant Imahara was a roboticist who updated the R2-D2 animatronic for the Star Wars prequels, as well as what pink and persistent mascot? That would be the Energizer Bunny, who, if you've noticed recently, is now being portrayed in CGI. You know what they say, you die twice. Once when you stop breathing, and again when they replace your pink animatronic mascot that plays the drums with a CGI version. Rest in peace, Grant. Number 3, before debuting Mickey Mouse and Steamboat Willie, Walt Disney created what character who premiered in Trolley Troubles in 1927? This is a trivia favorite. It was Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, so remember that. Write it on your arm if you have to for next time. Number 4, living off the fat of the land and tending to rabbits on a farm was Lenny's dream in what John Steinbeck novel about 2 migrant farmhands? That would be Of Mice and Men. Number 5, an owsla is a group of older rabbits who defend the chief rabbit and his doe and exercise the authorities of the warren, according to what 1972 Richard Adams adventure novel? That would be Watership Down. This was one that I always saw in the school library and was too daunted to read. I don't know. There's a lot of words in that book for having an animal on the cover. All right, on to round number 5, our last normal round for the pod. Round number 5 is called Sweet, Sweet Victory. Soon they will crown a new Super Bowl MVP who gets to rule over the NFL during the offseason. He's around about some other well-known, super specific awards. Question number 1. Frequently cited in car commercials and based on customer satisfaction surveys, what mysteriously named accolade is given to the quote-unquote #1 brand in its class? Number 2, 24 hours before winning the Academy Award for Best Actress for her role in The Blind Side, Sandra Bullock personally accepted what award for her role in All About Steve? Number 3, for the most distinguished contribution to American literature for children is the inscription on what medal given to authors for books like Charlotte's Web and The Bridge to Terabithia? Number 4, an orange blimp containing a kaleidoscope is bestowed upon winners of what award from Nickelodeon, named for their viewers who vote on the winners? And finally, number 5, considered the first celebrity chef of the television era. What chef and critic lent his name to an award given to restaurants that excel in the culinary arts? All right, let's go back to the top for the answers for round number 5. Starting with number 1, frequently cited in car commercials and based on consumer satisfaction surveys, what mysteriously named accolade is given to the quote-unquote #1 brand in its class? That would be the J.D. Power Award. All right, folks, let's get educated. Let's put this to bed right now. Let's stop asking, who's J.D. Power? James David Power III worked in advertising, as well as gathering customer data and market research for Ford Motor Company. But he felt that companies were too concerned with what is going to sell this product to the consumer and not concerned enough with how satisfied is this consumer now that they have the product. So he worked, I believe, for another company after that and then decided to found the JD Power company. So this actually is a really, really good metric to track when you are watching car commercials because you are literally hearing from other customers, or at least from the company that paid for the award. I don't know. Number 2, 24 hours before winning the Academy Award for Best Actress for her role in The Blind Side, Sandra Bullock personally accepted what an award for her role in All About Steve. That would be the Razzie. The Razzie. Awesome that she got to get an Oscar right after that, though. That is true aura. But looking into the Razzies to write this question, I found out that Sylvester Stallone has the most Razzies with 12 wins and 40 nominations altogether. As for the most nominated in 1 year, it will not surprise you to learn that that would be Adam Sandler with 11, and I believe it was in 2011 or whatever the year was that Jack and Jill came out. That was the year he was most nominated. All right, on to number 3. For the most distinguished contribution to American literature for children is the inscription on what medal given to authors for books like Charlotte's Web and The Bridge to Terabithia. That would be the Newbery Medal. I never had much acknowledgement for this in other types of awards as a kid. You know, we were in the library. We only got 55 minutes. And the librarian's talking about Newbery Medal, Caldecott Award. Crack the cover and let's get to talking about Alexander's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. All right, how about that? That's what I want to hear about. So sorry to all the librarians that tried and failed with me. But look at me now. Number 4, an orange blimp containing a kaleidoscope is bestowed upon winners of what award from Nickelodeon, which is named for their viewers who vote on the winners. That would be the Kids' Choice Award. Now, if this award were renamed for its main viewer segment today, it will be called the People Turning Their TV On Right After Arriving at Their Hotel Choice Awards. Because I feel like that's the only time I ever see that. Or if I'm like at a Buffalo Wild Wings. They, for some reason, have SpongeBob playing on the 85-inch projector. Number 5, considered the first celebrity chef of the TV era. What chef and critic lent his name to an award given to restaurants that excel in the culinary arts? That would be the James Beard Award. And finally, we've come to the final round. Parting is such sweet sorrow, but it just means that you are roughly 30 minutes closer to Super Bowl Sunday. So let's not cry because it's over. Let's smile because it happened. Live, laugh, love. Put your hair in a bun, pour a cup of coffee, put on some gangster rap, and handle it. Our final round comes to us with one more question from each previous round. Any rules that we have to go over, I will remind you of because I am that guy. Number 1, starting with a question from round number 1's Patriots. With an emotional speech that I can't legally recite on this podcast, what fictional U.S. president, played by Bill Pullman, rallies American fighter pilots during a climactic moment in 1998's Independence Day? Number 2 from round 2's Hawks. This is all about salesmen, commercials, and products. Presenter Tim Goey is probably the most forgettable part of commercials for what pointless, as seen on TV product, made for quote-unquote contact juggling, and whose name in Japanese means mystery. Number 3 from round 3's What's the Connection? Remember, things you'll find at a Super Bowl 60 party. Your question. On a train, a homeless guy drinks the last of the narrator's whiskey, bums a cig, gives some life advice, and then dies, according to the lyrics of what 1978 Kenny Rogers single? Number 4 from round 4's Not All Bunnies Are Bad. The word rabbit originally only referred to the young of the species, while what older European term, which is more often associated with quote-unquote dogs in the US, was used to refer to fully mature rabbits? Finally, number 5 from round 5, Sweet Sweet Victory. Since 1917, Columbia University has given out what annual award, considered the highest national honor in the U.S. for journalism, literature, drama, and music? All right, and it all comes down to this. Our answers for the final round. Question number 1. With an emotional speech that I can't legally recite on this podcast, what fictional U.S. president played by Bill Pullman rallies American fighter pilots during a climactic moment in Independence Day? That would be President Thomas J. Whitmore. Number 2, from round 2's Hawks, presenter Tim Goey is probably the most forgettable part of commercials for what pointless as seen on TV product made for contact juggling and whose name in Japanese means mystery? That would be Fushigi. Fushigi. Now, humongous props to my parents for clocking this. If I'd gotten this thing as a kid, like I begged for, I would have been so upset. It was stupid. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for not buying me this toy. Number 3, from round 3's What's the Connection? On a train, a homeless guy drinks the last of the narrator's whiskey, bums a cig, gives some life advice, and then dies, according to the lyrics of what 1978 Kenny Rogers single? You are 100% going to have this at whatever Super Bowl party you attend. That would be The Gambler. The Gambler. Definitely the guy that I want giving me life advice. A guy living on a train who then dies. I want to end up like this guy. And number 4, the word rabbit originally only referred to the young of the species, while what older European term, which is more often associated with quote-unquote dogs in the U.S., was used to refer to fully mature specimens of rabbit? That would be coney. A coney. I encourage you, if you're okay with blatant coarse language, to look up why they stopped calling them conies. Very interesting. Number 5, from round 5's Sweet Sweet Victory. Since 1917, Columbia University has given out what annual award considered the highest national honor in the U.S. for journalism, literature, drama, and music? That would be the award named for Joseph Pulitzer, the Pulitzer Prize. Amazing. Well, folks, another edition of Twin City Trivia, the podcast, is in the books. We did it. And now we're just looking forward to Super Bowl Sunday. I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Maybe I'll see you around. Don't forget to participate in the tournament of team names. You can use as many team names as you want. Just make sure they're funny and awesome. And don't forget to check out our theme nights that are upcoming. We got a lot of them. So if you're a fan of something, chances are we're going to be asking questions about it at some point. So don't forget to keep an eye out for that. And before we end the podcast, I just want to send a brief shout out to my friend and associate, John, to make sure that this podcast remains unbothered by record labels and other license holders. We have to make all the music for this podcast ourselves. And so he does an awesome job at sending me stuff that I think is going to sound great. And hopefully you think sounds great. If you've wondered where the music comes from, that's where. Using license-free music is what helps small creators and small businesses participate on a level like the big guys. Hope you guys enjoy the weekend coming up. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday, and I will see you next time for episode 4 of Twin City Trivia, the podcast. I love you. Goodbye.
This has been a production of Twin City Trivia, in collaboration with Middle Tropic Media, copyright 2026. All questions are the sole intellectual property of Twin City Trivia. Any unauthorized use is forbidden, and punishable to the fullest extent of my Black Vector CL-20 anti-personnel rockets. And the law. Remember, your friend Rulebot says, always follow the rules.